time to get back to it. This is Mocking a Mockingbird, episode 11. So I got all the components taken back off of it. Got the holes drilled for the bridge, So I just want all that stuff out of the way for sanding and for grain filling, and then I'll see on the finish. I'll see exactly when I do it. It's before or after that. But with the filling, we're using the scraper and all that. It's kind of pointless to do that. If I would go flush with it, I would sand off the black. If I go below flush, why would I do that? Above, you've got to be careful around it. It's somewhat hidden where it's at, but I'd rather do that later. So everything's back off of it, but ready to be mounted. So for this episode, I got to just, on the back side, just make sure I'm happy with all the contours. If I got to do any sanding, any of the flat sanding, I am gonna finalize the neck profile. I mean, it's basically there. It's got to get thinner on that side for sure. But as I do this and I go in, just little tweaks here to make sure everything just feels smooth all the way. Both of my thumb things are just kind of roughed in, so that's gotta get smoother. The back, I've got where the rules are gonna go. So, work this area, see what I'm gonna do with it. The holes aren't perfectly straight right now, but I'm gonna countersink these to flush. So the holes are gonna have to, on the top, get a little bit bigger so I can open up the backs, and if they don't press in, I can glue them in. I don't need to take them out for anything. So that's gonna be fine. So that's probably about everything for the back. If there's any sanding on the headstock, I'm gonna do any cleaning of the neck. There's gonna be a little more cleaning up, stuff like that. And on this side, figure out if I'm happy with all the sides. I'm probably gonna go a lot deeper with this one. So I got the Paduke pop here. So this is actually a concave contour. I'm gonna make it bigger where it comes in and out, where maybe around here is gonna have the most Paduke. I'll just work it and see what I like as it goes, but that's kind of what I think I'm gonna do. But the biggest thing is gonna be straightening everything out here. Because I cut the actual neck, you remember the neck goes all the way back to here, so these stripes, it's the same piece as all the way through. But I cut that on the bandsaw, so I didn't have an actual CNC measurement of where it was, so once I put the top on, you saw I just had to cut through and then kind of open it up and make a new file that was a little bigger, a little bit farther back, a little farther forward, figure out my angle, move the angle. So I just did everything safe and just started going a little farther until it was good. But my two angles aren't exact. So I gotta get that flatter. I was hoping to be able to get a file on the whole plane, but it's a little bit in this way. So if I'm running a file, I hit it. It's not this bad, obviously, but I can't get it all together. So to get it totally smooth, I gotta clean that up, maybe make it a little wider. And basically, all those things that are just gonna be to get it ready to do the grain filler. And I don't want anything on here that I'm gonna be scraping into or scraping over, or, so all that'll get installed after that. So probably won't do all of that this weekend. So we'll see what gets in this episode, but those are the general directions from where I'm at. So I'm just gonna go and, really whatever I do, that's what gets done. And then at the end, I'll tell you that. Right. Episode 11.
Oh no.
apples in this tree. I'm going to start harvesting this week probably, but for today, apple fritters. All right, apple fritters. You start out, bust out the apple lathe, and just kind of get this. Feels coarse, spiral. So, continue on. I'm just gonna make just regular pancake mix. I'm just gonna make like a half batch. Cut this. Both them are a little low, so grab a little bit. Half a cup of milk. Egg. I try one of those eggs been in there, so for safety, put it in the bowl first. And tablespoon of oil. I'm not even gonna measure this stuff. This is just part of the little magic. Throw in some of this real vanilla right here. You don't need much. Get a little in there. Cinnamon, you gotta be a little careful unless you use cinnamon sugar. Regular cinnamon, if you put too much, can get pretty, I don't know what the word is. Mix that up, and we will have the batter for the fritters. Doesn't have to be totally smooth, you can leave it a little lumpy, doesn't really matter. So, some of you might be confused how I have a channel called Mr. Bubenga, and I'm building a guitar with 3 kinds of wood, and none of them are Bubenga. But, if you look here, there's my kitchen. I'm guessing it's probably just about one of the only kitchens in the Chicagoland area that's Bubenga. Probably bigger than the Chicagoland area saying that, but yeah, you've already seen me behind my desk, that's Bubenga. I don't know if you've seen the coffee table that's Bubenga. Anyway, I use Bubenga a lot. So this is how I get to call it health food, because I'm adding milk to it. So I'm just going to start with a little bit. This is kind of a process, you just got to get it right. So that was the part that made it health food. This right here, powdered sugar, this is the part that makes it good. So we get that in there, kind of like a lot. Yeah, ooh, a lot of sugar. Well, breakfast could be sweet, right? I got the cinnamon. There's so much sugar in there, I don't have to be too careful with it. Make sure I get it actually in there. And I'm also going to add caramel extract. Now, extract you always got to be careful with. Okay. Looks like too much milk. See what too much milk means, right? More sugar. Nice, that's the glaze. Pretty simple. Even a woodworker can make this stuff. So, you saw me put some grain filler in there that I dyed with this copper metal powder. Might have looked weird when you were doing it, but I was purposely like avoiding sections because I pretty much just want the copper in the Wenge part. If a little gets past it here and there, it doesn't really matter if it's small amounts, or some sections don't get any at all, is fine, but it's just certain angles you get this glimmer and then certain angles you don't. So it just comes in and out. I think it's really cool looking like that. So I just wanted it kind of random, but mainly just in that. So I'm gonna do another coat now, but this time I'm gonna get the whole thing, and I'm not gonna add any more color to it. Just whatever's already that deep in there is what the copper's gonna be. And I'm just gonna go a couple coats of clear because I gotta get the sides anyway, so I'll just do the whole thing. So there'll be extra coats on the front and back, but won't hurt anything. Take a couple of these, just throw them right in. Kind of mix them into that. Nice and simple. It says apples, pancake batter. Get the ones that are done on the wire rack. Ooh. Drop in the batter. I'll throw it in a couple more seconds. So while these are still hot, you get a little of the glaze on there so it kind of melts in. The second half right here looks kind of have a better ratio and a little maybe that's about the same. So at least you get that hole in the center where it's a little less pancake all around it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I started doing this last year. They were always good. I had some, well, yesterday I didn't make these, but I made some apple waffles. Basically the same thing, except for I cooked it in a waffle iron instead of basically deep frying them. Alright, so really this is just like a couple minutes aside. Not that big of a deal. Get some of this on right away. So man, these things are kick-ass when they're fresh, but even cold, these are good. These would be good all day long. Yep. If anything, I can put more sugar on the top. When I installed the knobs on it, they were sticking too high away from the body. So I'm going to drill the beginning of the hole to the size of the shaft so it could overhang it just a bit, but still the set screw could hit the notch that's in here. Actually, if I can get all the way down into the groove right there, if I can line that up, I might not have to modify the set screws. So either way, I've got one clamped in here. I've got some tape set up for a very small depth. Now this is bigger than the hole here. It's just opening up the top section so it'll fit tight on here. And the start of the hole will have enough room around those threads. So let me get this kind of, I don't want to mar it too much. See how this works. So we got to the tape and not farther. So let's see what this kind of looks like. It does get kind of a little bit farther than it was. I can go more though. I probably have to go one size up on the drill bit. So I'm gonna swap that out real quick. Okay, so I got a bigger bit in here. I'm just going to 64th bigger. I went from 5/16 to 21/64. So it would make a lot more sense if I was doing everything in metric. I don't know. The system kind of sucks, but that's what we got here. Let's see if it's in it all better. All right, that's definitely got the room I'm looking for. Can't really test it until that grain filler's dry and I do that. So for now, I'm just gonna do the same thing with the other knob. It's a little bigger, so I'm gonna open that up. Probably saw that filter kick in right there. I'm gonna have to pull it out. Huh. Probably too much crap in there. Yeah, this one, the actual hole itself needs to be deeper. One size up. I don't remember what size I used. Yep, there we go. So before, when I put it on, you saw a gap like that. So if I line this here, you can see part of the shaft actually goes in. Did that go crooked? I'm gonna have to play with that. But yeah, cool. So I still gotta wait like probably another 20 more minutes before I can sand the filler on that. I think once I do that, I could press in the bridge inserts and I could start working on the ferrules on the back. But I'm telling you, this was a good call. These things are just good. So, killing time. Fritter. So I think I got enough grain filler in there, enough coats. I think I did get full 3 coats on the sides, the top and back, because I had the color to it. I already had like at least 3 coats, but then when I did the clear, I just went over the whole thing and sanded, because why wouldn't you do that? So there's actually probably like 6, I don't know, maybe there's only 5 on the top and bottom, but either way, I'm gonna go with 320. I'm gonna sand through it, see how everything looks, and I mean, if I need more, I need more. But I think this will be the final grain filler sanding step. So, what I'm gonna do? We'll do this one fast. I've got this thing that's like, I got a really weird thing that I'm like super cheap when it comes to sandpaper. It's like, I just want to make each piece just last like absolutely forever. It's all worn out and I'm looking and I'm like, this 320 still has like 7 more pieces of sand on the paper. You know, I haven't used it all. And, you know, I spend just way too much time sanding. And then I'm at the store and I'm looking at sandpaper and I'm like, why is this so expensive? You know, it's like, there's 3 pieces in here, you know? But while I'm doing this, I figured I'm swapping out for brand new. So I got a fresh piece for all the curves and stuff like that, and fresh around the block. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little powdered sugar right on at least some of them. Not too much. I'll do all of them. Like it. Works better when they're warm. Sticks to the oil. Because this is like the extreme health food, you know, deep fried. Right. Okay, so I was playing with the cover and it was a little tight. I didn't think that was going to happen. I was looking and it's just some of the filler on the inside. I got to scrape that. I've got this router plane and I've never actually had a really good application to use it. I've tested the thing, but that's really it. But I think I could ride along the edge and I could, you know, right now I got it set where I'm not cutting on the bottom, so the side edge. We'll just kind of scrape on there. I'm going to see how that works. And it's not taking much off, but the edge is looking cleaner. And I guess the curves, that isn't going to work. But it'll cut the bottom of it if there's some extra to make it easier to come off, maybe. So I'm just going to go around and see what kind of happens here. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So it's tighter than I want it to be, because it will move. I can always get it off because now I did this, but I'm just gonna continue on with that same thing. I could still see some, but I'm just slowly go around. I'm not going to get 10 minutes of footage of, you know, getting an extra 4 thousandths of room. So I got this thing back to, you know, how it was, you know, sitting good, looks clean, falls right in place. You know, it doesn't really, if you tap it, you can hear it moving. There's room. Not tons, but should be good. That one, super dirty. So that'll be the next step. So it's time to get the magnets in. Or maybe it's not time to, but that's what I'm going to do. I did this on one other build before, and what I found was the easiest. If you keep it in a stack, and you just push it in, you could slide it out of the way to get it into the hole. When you do that, it's good. The poles are going to stay in the same direction because you got a stack going. This way they're all the same. This way when you put your cover, make sure those are all the same, but opposite. Because if you had a north up here and a south down here, and then it would work, but then just add consistency, do them all the same there, no confusion. You're not going to get one side trying to push. So I'm going to do that. Well, that's breakfast. Got some snacks for the day. It'll probably end up being lunch. Who knows? I might not eat anything else all day but this. So sometimes I wonder how much glaze do you put on there, and well, I just put the rest of what I had in that unmeasured amount of glaze that I made. Use it all. Don't throw it away. I ain't scared of sugar. All right, so these are the posts for the bridge. I'm gonna countersink this in instead of having it sit, you know, above. I want it flush or a hair under. Is a hair under, is that more flush? Maybe that's what more flush means. I don't know. Either way, we can talk about that later. But I bet the directions say 1/2 inch. I did a test, 31/64, it fits. I'd rather have a tight fit. So I'm just gonna barely go down and test it upside down to make sure I get the depth before pressing in, and that's how I'm gonna do it. Nice. Now get just the piece. It's in there, that, and it's flush. This one is a little under. I'm gonna go deeper on that one. I'd rather do this step 3 times than go too far. That's just under. That's probably a little bit deeper. That'll work. That'll work. That'll countersink in there. It'll be beautiful. Beautiful. Whoops. So when I drilled these holes, and you remember I was marking from the front, measuring back, figuring out distance from the center, or the center of, you know, where it had to be, and all that. And I got all my holes drilled. I didn't push the bushings in yet, and sitting up high, it went in here. Now, if I had this pin in here, I can't get it in. It's my holes are hair narrow. So it looks like, I mean, I've got plenty of wenge laying around here. So let's cut a piece up, get onto the lathe. I'll pull this out. I'll make a dowel rod real quick. I mean, it's got, you know, well, the whole depth of that, because I'm going to drill a hole so close to it. So I'll have to fill down lower. The top, I'm debating whether I should face the grain this way before I cut it on the lathe, or just do regular stick and get the end grain. It's really, once this is there, I think I was, if anything, would have wanted to be a hair narrower and a hair to this way. So I'm going to pitch, I pitch it a little bit. I'm going to pitch just a little farther back. And I'm just going to go from this center, get my exact center, and just pitch it back, and that'll squeeze, not much, but it didn't need to move, but it was like, if anything, you know, so if anything, tilt that back. So a couple extra steps. If you look from here, there's where it's at. You know, that would be about straight. I'm gonna pitch back, so I mean, you might see it's right on the verge of, you know, barely there. So plug it with Wenge and it'll be clean.
Are you a part of the human race? All I got is you. 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 All I got is you.
Yep. So, right now you can clearly see, you know, where it was fixed. But once this is installed, I mean, there's like straight, I'm gonna actually go at a little bit of an angle. So it's right there. So basically, I mean, you can see that little light color dot right there. Ain't too bad. Right, so you caught me snoozing there a bit. So anyway, in this episode here, you know, I started out with some general cleanup. And, you know, watching, you know, scrapers and sandpaper, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've seen it a million times. It's time consuming. It's something that needs to be done. It's, while you're doing it, it's, you know, gratifying, you know, seeing, you know, everything shape up, but it doesn't make for great video. But we got apple fritters. So that's pretty cool. So I went through that, you know, did the grain filler. I started out adding the copper in there. And then, you know, just for the Wenge, and then went clear over the whole thing. Got that on there. I sanded it actually all the way to 800, and it's pretty nice right now. So, I got it right. Might as well have it in the picture, right? So, the knobs, I, you know, drilled into the back a little bit, a little deeper, get them ready. Once I get the actual potentiometers mounted back in here, I can check my depth that it is good enough and modify that. But from here on out, that'll be easy. I was just killing time waiting for, you know, the filler to dry, so I did some of that. Yeah, that was most of it until I got to the bridge. So when I originally drilled the holes, I had the pins up, you know, not pressed in. So on the bridge, they were obviously not 100% straight because they were at least slightly in the holes. All the way down wouldn't fit. But, you know, wasn't the end of the world. By the time, I mean, I have cutoffs laying around. By the time I chucked a piece on the lathe, cut it, you know, fit it and all that, super glued it in, planed it back flat. I mean, I want to say I spent 45 minutes on it, but truthfully, I don't think I spent that long. And it's gone. Almost. So, I guess that brings us about to the end. Episode 11, Mocking a Mockingbird. And everything's really moving along nicely. Oh, magnets are in. So next week, I guess we'll be looking at more sanding for the covers themselves. Get the magnets in the covers. So I have all the rules. I got to work on those. I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. Didn't get to that, but you know, the sanding, filling, waiting in between and stuff. You know, it was a lot, but it's finishes real good. Maybe I'll throw a picture up in the corner there somewhere. But yeah, That's it.